On the path to fulfilling another campaign promise, meanwhile, the president has vowed to bring sky-high drug prices down in an overhaul.
My administration is launching the most sweeping action in history to lower the price of prescription drugs for the American people. Government has also been part of the problem because previous leaders turned a blind eye to this incredible abuse. But under this administration, we are putting American patients first. We will work every day to ensure all Americans have access to the quality, affordable medication they need and they deserve. And we will not rest until this job of unfair pricing is a total victory for the USA.
The administration is looking to tackle the towering prices in the drug market with improved competition, better negotiations, incentives for lowering list prices, and lowering out-of-pocket costs. Biotech and pharmaceutical stocks rallied on that announcement on Friday, relieved that the new policy was not as harsh as anticipated. Joining me right now is Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar. Mr. Secretary, good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you again, Maria.
Yeah, you know, you have to walk a balance here. On the one hand, you want to get prices down, but on the other hand, you need to make sure to be a free market where investors believe that they can actually make a profit if they invest in companies that are producing these drugs.
Well, you know what, Maria? I used to run the U.S. arm of a big pharmaceutical company, so I know the financials here quite well. I don't really buy into the pharma rhetoric here that you take 1 penny out of their profit and somehow innovation is going to go away completely. We are doing free market solutions. We're harnessing the power of the market. The president made it clear that we're going to bring negotiation to parts of Medicare that don't have it. We're going to harness that power, and we're going to do better bidding, and that is exactly what he is delivering on and what we're pushing Congress to help us with.
So is that the secret sauce, the competition? Will lower prices. What's the plan to actually get prices down?
Yep. So key elements here are bringing better negotiation to the Medicare drug program, because, of course, that's the program that we control for tens of millions of Americans and pays for so much of drug expense here in this country. We've got our retail pharmacy program, what's called Medicare Part D, and the president is going to unleash the drug plans to actually negotiate against big pharma in certain categories where right now negotiation has basically not existed, with almost no discounts or rebates being paid, a no-touch zone. We're pulling that off. We're allowing full negotiation, and we're going to have bidding and real discounting in that space. And for the first time ever, we're going to bring negotiation, competition, and discounting to the physician-administered drugs where nothing has existed in the past.
Well, that's terrific. I mean, if nothing, and it's crazy, by the way, where nothing has existed in this regard in the past. How is that even possible?
It's just the way Congress has designed this program. So, you know, running the U.S. arm of that drug company, if you have a physician-administered drug, you set whatever price you want, you pay no discount on it, and it's covered by Medicare immediately. If you have a drug that people have to pick up at the neighborhood pharmacy and dispense to, and administer to themselves, you're not covered until the drug plan allows you in because you've made the case. You pay up to 30% or more in discounts and rebates to taxpayers and the beneficiary. And you have tight formulary management, making you go through step edits and fail first and other controls that are why you get those discounts. And that's why the president is going to be moving drugs from Part B into Part D, if Congress will give us that. And we're immediately working to bring some direct negotiation into Part B through what's called the Competitive Acquisition Program, rejuvenating the efforts there. So the president made a promise, and he's delivering on this negotiation.
That sounds very promising. Let me ask you to connect the dots here in terms of China, because people are worried that a lot of our medicine is actually imported from China. And as we have all of this conversation going on right now in terms of trade and what will happen and the changes that may happen from the trade story, whether it's tariffs or what have you, where does that leave people who may need those imports from China in terms of medicine? How much medicine is imported from China, sir?
So it's mostly on the generic side, and this is where America really leads the world. We have the most robust generic market, which brings affordable drugs to Americans. And that's why part of our drug plan is to ensure the robust generic market, speedy access to those affordable medicines, and to build up a new biosimilars market so that we have affordable options to high-cost biologic drugs. You know, those are those $40, $50, $100, $500,000 kind of drugs. The president's going to bring competition into that space also. And that's also why the FDA's mission is so vitally important, to protect our borders and protect our drug supply system and inspect so that whatever comes into this country is safe. Because, you know, when an American walks into a pharmacy here, they do not have to worry about the safety and the adulteration of the medicines they get. And that's really one of the crown jewels of the American system.
Is it the majority of generics come from China?
No, they come from all over. You know, you've got major manufacturers throughout the world. So India, China, here in the United States, Israel, Europe. No, it's a very diverse production capability in the generic industry.
Let me get your take on this EpiPen story. Apparently, months after consumers reported that they were unable to purchase the life-saving device used to combat allergic reactions, the FDA officially announced shortages last week. So here we are, first dealing with the incredible price of the EpiPen. Now we've got to deal with the fact that we can't even get our hands on them. Secretary, what can you tell me about this shortage?
Yeah, so we're working with the manufacturer to make sure that consumers have ready information about where the product is available. Sometimes what happens is you have pockets where the product's available and some other pockets in the distribution channel where there are shortages, and we're making sure patients have knowledge about where to go. We also are making sure patients are aware of alternatives because, of course, for patients who have those needs, it's not the only product that they can take. It's one formulation and one delivery device, but making sure that that people are aware of alternatives that may be available while the manufacturer is able to spool up production and solve their manufacturing issues.
Well, you know, it brings up another issue. When we had the CEO of Mylan Labs on, basically talking about how expensive the EpiPen was, and it was out of access for a lot of people because it was so expensive. She said it's the structure, right, Secretary? It's the structure. It's the fact that she's got to give some money to the pharmacy benefit providers. Another group wants to take of it. I mean, the way that it is structured in terms of who gets a piece of the revenue, is that structure still in place?
Well, we're tackling that structure. That's one of the bold things the president called for on Friday, is we're actually calling for a complete re-examination of the entire pharmacy benefit manager system. This system of backdoor concealed rebates and these pharmacy benefit managers getting paid both by the drug companies they're supposed to be negotiating against and from big pharma. We're calling on effort. We are going to be examining, looking at making sure they can't get compensated by big pharma, and also making sure that these rebates actually may be moved to discounts so that they're not tied to these absurdly high list prices. But make no mistake, at the end of the day, big pharma is responsible for the list prices that it sets.
Secretary, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much. We'll be watching the developments.
Thank you, Maria.
Secretary Alex Azar.